other great nations, including the UK. And I see the UK as being a prominent member of the G7, which has tremendous liquidity, right? And this liquidity needs to be reallocated to better places that entail better returns.
Indeed.
On the back of what we've seen recently, the interest rate, reduction in the US that I think is going to propel other economies or other countries to follow suit, inclusive of hopefully the other members of the G7. That I think will pave way for better conversations on how that economic capital ought to be reallocated, right? Beyond the G7 countries, hopefully to places like Indonesia, where the conversation on energy transition could be much more robust. Because as I've alluded to earlier, before that, for energy transition purposes, Southeast Asia is going to need about $2 to $3 trillion for most of the economies to become modern, being defined at 6,000 kilowatt hour per capita. We don't have that kind of money. Indonesia has only been getting about $25 to $30 billion worth of FDI on a yearly basis. Just for Indonesia and energy transition to become modern, we're going to need around $1 trillion. That's not going to happen by 2050. So until and unless countries like the UK, would have a better understanding of the aspirations of countries like Indonesia, I think we're all going to be exposed, right? So this is where I think the richness of the conversation between the UK and Indonesia could be further amplified for purposes of attaining that liquidity, but we have to account for it, right? And then making sure that that liquidity is being funneled for noble purposes, one of which is energy transition. What do you think?
I think that's a great question. And in a way, it goes back to those 100,000 Indonesian students we want to see in the UK. Because if you can increase the knowledge and understanding in one of the world's, in fact, it is the world's international financial center, London, of the opportunities in Indonesia, if the market in Indonesia can be enabled to be more kind of accommodating, more open to FDI in that way, then you're absolutely right. The pool of capital that is there going through London on a daily basis is what we want to unlock. But not only that pool of capital, it's the innovation as well. The really exciting startups that are doing funky business around finance, around green growth, around AI, whatever it is, unlocking that whole ecosystem of technological innovation and using it in Indonesia in such a way that it's going to be delivering on the priorities that you have as a nation. And so that's a coming together of the planets in a particular way. It means increasing awareness of the opportunities around Indonesia. And to do that, how do you do that in the UK? Well, one of the ways is by increasing the number of young Indonesians coming to the UK. It's looking for ways to unlock knowledge about Indonesia in the UK as well, bringing people over to Jakarta and elsewhere.